Before we get into the topic of the week for this installment of the 2021 campaign video series, let me remind you that voting has begun. This video is being released on April 19th, which is the first day of early voting here in Hurst. You can vote at the Brookside Center, which is at 1244 Brookside Drive. It's pretty much right in the middle of the city, right off of Bedford-Euless Road. Early voting does continue on through April 27th. The hours do vary for various days of early voting, so make sure and look that up before you come to the polls. Also remember that April 20th is the last day to request an absentee ballot from Tarrant County Elections for this election. You want to make sure and get that returned just as quickly as you can so that your vote will count. And then Election Day is May 1st. The polls are going to be open 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. If you want more information about elections, look at Tarrant County Elections for that information. And I always encourage folks to look at sites like vote411.org. That's run by the League of Women Voters. They are an impartial group in this election. They just want folks to get out and make an informed vote. So you can look at a sample ballot and you can see responses from candidates to the questions that were asked. And so you can learn more and make an informed choice in our upcoming elections, or the elections that are already here. So let's get into the topic of the week, and that is infrastructure. We all want great roads to drive on. We want a water system that works. And let me tell you, this is a big endeavor here in Hurst. When you really sit down and think, from the largest components, like maybe some of our water towers and things like that to keep our water system running smoothly, to some of the smallest components of infrastructure, the little bumps and markers on our roadways and our road signs that help us know where we're going. There is a lot that goes into maintaining quality infrastructure. And I'm glad to know that in Hurst, there's a plan for making that happen. There's a plan for our roadways. A group came in and scanned all of our roadways, looking for the condition of the surface, looking for things, what was going on under the surface, gave each of the roads a grade, and then decisions are made about how to proceed forward from there, about replacing sections of roads or sealing roads so that they'll stay in good condition for a little bit longer. But there's always a plan in the things that we do in Hurst, and we're careful about spending the budget dollars, your tax dollars, on quality upgrades for the city. And I'm also happy to tell you that there's always the opportunity to look for matching grants or funding that's available. A great example is from this past council agenda. I think it was item number 16 on the agenda. It's an upgrade that's coming to Livingston Drive, and it's part of the CDBG funding, the Community Development Block Grant that we're taking advantage of. The total cost for that road project, upgrading that road there in Livingston Drive, is around $340,000. These projects are not cheap. There's a lot that goes into engineering, into materials, just to get the roads in place. But it's great to know that half of that project cost, about $170,000, is coming out of that CDBG grant. And so that's good to know. We use those grants as often as we possibly can. In fact, there was another agenda item where we were making application for several projects in an upcoming Tarrant County bond. Why use our money to pay for projects solely when we can use other funds that are out there and available that we can be awarded if our staff does quality, diligent preparation in putting forth a good project proposal? And they always do a great job at that. But then the water system is another example. From the towers to the 6 pumps or 6 wells that we have here in Hurst that help offset some of that water that we buy from the city of Fort Worth, from their water system. We have lots of things going on. There's 205 miles of water lines under the city that supply water to our residents, to your individual water line to your house. And so there's a lot that goes into taking care of that system. And then there's all sorts of other things. Sidewalks and curbs are always something that's talked about. And I remember we had an item on the agenda, I think it was back in 2019, where we were using the Safe Routes to School program to seek funding for some sidewalks that lead to our city schools. There were about, I want to say it was like 7,000 to 8,000 linear feet of sidewalks that were involved in that project. I think there were also some school warning signs, crossing signs that were involved in that. And the total for that project was over $1 million. That was going to be something that we wanted to get from funding from that program. It didn't come through this time. We'll apply again. But there's always a cost to all of these things. And of course, that cost comes out of taxpayer dollars. That's why we strive to look for grant funding for these projects, and we go into a pool of proposals and we try to put our best foot forward in those proposals. There's so much that goes into infrastructure, and a lot of it is maintained by the quality staff that we have here in Hurst. And let me give you an example from the winter storm of what our quality staff did. They made sure, knowing that everybody was going to be asked to drip their faucets to keep things from freezing, they made sure to raise the level of water in the tanks ahead of the winter storm so that the most supply was available within our system when that depletion started from everybody dripping their faucets. That's one of the things that helped us to maintain water pressure in the city of Hurst, where you saw other cities around us struggle with it for a variety of reasons. And then also there were folks who were out there manually working the equipment in those sub-freezing temperatures when the automated systems failed under the cold. These are the kinds of folks who are working to make sure that things run smoothly in Hurst. And that's why infrastructure is so important, and the people, the team who keeps our infrastructure up is also so very important. My name is Jon McKenzie. I am up for re-election in this election cycle for Hurst City Council Place 6. I would really appreciate your vote during early voting or in the May 1st election. If you have a question for me, I can be reached on my cell phone, by email, or at my website, jonmckenzie.com. No H in John. Thank you.